I want to explain how you might use profiles within a form. You have options that let you lock or unlock a profile, and you can use them to control the size of the closed shape that is the profile. So notice that I'm in the process of creating a mass. What I'm going to do very quickly is just draw a rectangle on the bottom. It was on level 1 because I've got level 1 as my placement plane here. I'll hit the escape key a couple of times and double click on an edge, and you can see that I could actually go in and say, you know, I want those to be 100 feet wide, and then if I double click on this one, I might say I want that to be 150 feet. So I'm actually able to drive the sketch. I can even just pick it up and move it. What I want to do is create a volume, a form. So what I do is I pick on the line work that represents the closed shape. I go to create form, and I can say create it as a solid or create it as a void. So I'm creating it as a solid. You see I've got these options where I can either pull on it, pull or push on it if you like on these axes, or I can come in here and type in dimensions to drive the size, or in Vasari, because I can see floor levels, like if I wanted, I could actually say to the top floor, why don't you align that surface? That would be a way of me moving it down. I'm not going to lock it, although I can lock it to, if I want, when the floor moves, I want that surface to move. But I'm going to then say that I'm finished with the mass. So at this point what I want to do is show the idea of the profiles and what part they play. If I tab through, so I go to the bottom of my model, I'm hitting the tab key, you see that I see the surface, an edge, the whole form, the bottom surface. So I'm going to click on the bottom surface and say edit the profile. That's me back to my closed shape, and I can delete this line work, say, and draw something else to close the shape. So the default is that the locking is not switched on. So when I'm saying that I'm finished with the mass, I get a form that looks like this. Okay. Now if I were to pick on the top and I said edit, you see I've actually got a completely different profile in there. So if I were to do something like just move it, move that edge, and then okay, then I'm going to get that as an update. Now the significance of the locking is that if I tab to my bottom sketch, the bottom profile, and I go over under the form element to where I've got this option to say lock the profiles, constrains the profiles of a form. So think of this as an extrusion. It's got two profiles, one on the bottom and one on the top. If I say lock it, because I had the bottom one selected there, it's locking to the shape that was on the bottom. I'm going to hit undo. I'm going to pick on the top. If I were in on that profile, I'll say I'm finished, but just pick the face on the top there and say that I want to lock them. You see it's driving that as being the active profile. So I'm going to undo until I get back to my more interesting shape here. Right, so if I was thinking that I wanted to have forms within my building, I need to bear in mind that I've got profiles within my forms. If I tab through to the bottom and I go and I say lock the profiles, then that's the shape that I want. I'm now going to say align to the level 2, the top of my form. Now what I want to do is I'm going to copy this from one. If this represents an activity, say that's on the ground floor of my mass form, I'm going to tab through until the whole form is selected. I'm going to say copy it to the clipboard, and then I'm going to say paste it back to selected levels, and I'll pick 2, holding the control key, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and I'm driving. My mass now has multiple forms on different floors. You see that my tab key will let me select the whole form, the surfaces, but and this is the important point, is that if I were to do something like, say, tab until I find this edge, and then I'm dragging it up, because the profiles were locked, they are tied together. You see, I've still got the same form, but tied together. So what I might want to do is I might want to go and unlock them, which would mean that then I can drag this back down again until, see the alignment with this temporary line that I get, so that I can create a form that's more like that. So the profiles had to be unlocked to let me make that modification. Let's say I want to go and edit the top form here. I could do something like take that profile, and let's say I'm going to move that to 30. So I'm changing the shape of the top profile and then clicking OK, and you can see the significance of what I got in my building form here. So the ability to lock and unlock profiles is really helpful in letting you define what the final shape is. If the shapes are very simple, it may be that they're just locked. They're just straightforward extrusions. If they're more complex, you probably want to unlock them. And I'll stop there and do another movie that shows how you can use parameters to drive the actual size of the forms itself.